Let's go ahead and start the class. Welcome to Lab 1. We have a bunch of aerospace students and mechanical engineering students in the same course. This is how we offer the labs. Labs are offered for both degree programs that we have. My name is Mustafa Mobli. I'm going to be the instructor for the course. Yeah. Welcome. I guess this is your first day of classes, so welcome back. I hope you have had a good holiday. Today we're going to talk about the office hours, textbook, the course schedule, and the teams that you're going to be working in, and the report formatting. Also class policies, grading criteria, and final notes. You are welcome to ask any questions whenever you have one. Yeah. Office hours are going to be Wednesdays from 12 to 2. You want to make sure you send an email before going to my office. I will definitely be around. I will definitely be on campus, but I might not stay in my office. But there's always something happening, so you have to take care of. So make sure to send me an email before just showing up to my office. And you don't have to come to my office during these hours. You can make an appointment for any time, or you can just come by and knock on the door and come in. The reason I announced this time is because I guess we have to have 2 hours of office hours at the site, but my policy is that you can always come to my office. You don't have to wait for these 2 hours. Yeah, and there are no textbooks for the course, the lecture notes and lab instructions, and also the lab recordings and lecture recordings are going to be posted on Blackboard before each lab. Checking Blackboard is very important in this course, and everything is done on Blackboard. There will be quizzes every week that will be given on Blackboard on Friday, and all of the submissions are going to be on Blackboard. Okay, so let's talk about this lecture schedule. The lectures are going to be 100% online, meaning that on Mondays I will probably post all of the recordings just on Sunday, all of them, so you don't have to come back on Monday and Wednesday. But the point is, the theory recording, which is usually done on Mondays, the theory of the labs you're gonna perform every week, will be uploaded on Blackboard on Monday, right? And you have to watch that lecture. I will take the attendance, and meaning watching these lectures is a part of your grade. So watching the lecture recordings is mandatory on Blackboard. Does that make sense? And we're going to talk about the grading breakdown later. And then on Wednesdays, you have to watch the lab recording, the actual lab. So I will post the recording by the person who is in charge of the lab, and they will tell you how to actually do the lab. So when you go to the lab, you will know the theory and you will know how to run the lab. Your TA will also be there to help you do the actual lab and record the data. Does this make sense? And on Fridays, you will have a pre-lab quiz. So you watch this lecture on Monday, the theory lecture on Monday, you watch the actual lab, recording of the actual lab on Wednesday, and you take the quiz on Friday, or you can do all of it together on Friday. It doesn't really matter. You just have to make sure that you watch the lectures before the lab, like before this quiz, these two. Do you have any questions? Okay, so what is going to happen in class here? Yes?
So does that mean that we physically don't have to be here?
Exactly, yes. You don't have to be here physically, but I will be here on Mondays during the start of class time to answer your questions about the lab, about the theory, about whatever you want to ask, you want to talk about. It doesn't really matter, as long as it is about the lab course, of course. So I will be here, and if I come to the class and see no one's here, I'll just go back to my office, leave my office door open, and just come to my office and ask your questions on Mondays, right? And if you need to have more time to discuss any of the labs, we can actually do the same thing on Wednesday. So if you don't want to come to class, you don't have to come to class. There's nothing happening in class other than a Q&A. Like sometimes I've seen people come to classes this is the first time we are fully online, but last year we had the lab recordings. We posted the lab recordings, like the Wednesday things, online. And I would come to class on Wednesday, and people would come and ask me questions, and that would, like 10, 20 of you come to class and ask me questions, and I usually do the lectures again for that 10 or 20 people who have questions. Does this make sense? Okay, do we have any questions about the lectures? So I will be here on Monday. You are welcome to join me if you have a question, or if you just want to hang around, that's all right. Or if you want to watch the recording, fine. But all of the recordings will be uploaded before the Monday lecture. So the recording for Monday and Wednesday will be uploaded before the Monday lecture each week, right? And the quiz will be open. We'll talk about the quiz more later. Let's talk about the lab schedule. So this is the first class. This is a little bit confusing, but this is essentially just each week of the semester and what you are going to do in that week of the semester. For example, this week, maybe I haven't posted anything yet, but they will be posted before Friday for sure. This week, we're here, we're talking about this is a course introduction. I'm also recording this. This recording will be uploaded. And I will also upload a recording about the lab 1, which you will do in week 3, right? And also I will also upload the actual lab recording, so you can watch all of these and become familiar with it to take the quiz on Friday. Then you'll come back in 2 weeks. You'll not come back here. You'll go to the labs, which are in the basement of 300 Main, to do the uncertainty analysis lab, right, with your TA. Okay, whenever your lab section is, just show up to the lab, to this room, specifically A021A, which is, how many of you have been to the basement of 300 Main? Okay, a lot of you. There is a yellow room. I'm sure there's a room which walls are yellow, and this A021A is one of the rooms inside that room. So, but if you have problem finding the room, you can send an email to me or your TA. And your TAs, we are going to go through the syllabus. Your TAs are also, you are going to know who your TAs are today. But these people who are listed here are the people in charge of this specific lab. So if there was an issue your TA couldn't help you with, you want to reach out to this person, whose name is listed here. For example, Samantha is going to be the person in charge of the first lab, uncertainty analysis. Any questions? Okay. We're going to have a total of 10 labs. Uncertainty analysis, which will be a review of statistics. I think a lot of you have not taken any statistics course. Is that correct? Because we have been moved it as a mandatory course. It is not on the major map anymore, which is why we do a review of statistics. I'll teach you how to do a statistical analysis essentially for lab 1, and you will do a statistical analysis in lab. It's a very simple lab. Lab 2, hardness, we will investigate the hardness of material. Flight mechanics is a very aerospace-oriented lab, but the department has decided, it wasn't my decision, but the department has decided that mechanical engineers can also benefit doing the flight mechanics, flight simulation lab. Essentially, in this lab, you learn how to do aerodynamic analysis and how to use a flight simulator. Manufacturing lab is the only lab that might change a little bit. It's a 3D printing lab. You are going to 3D print a couple of cubes, right? But we don't really do any tests on those cubes yet. We don't have the equipment yet. So your job is only going to learn how to 3D print a cube, right? Bending and torsion, obvious from the name, we are going to do a bending analysis. A strain gauge is a very important sensor for you guys. So you need to learn how to use a strain gauge, motion lab, lab view, and the rest of the lab. So 10 labs total, 10 lab reports. And these lab reports are going to account for 50% of your grade. The lab reports are submitted as a part of the group. So usually groups of 4 people, 2 to 4 people, depending on how the class is run. or you can divide and conquer. You can just assign each lab to a person, the team, and then next lab to another person, and so on and so forth. Right? Do you have any questions? Okay. So I guess we did. You will be assigned to a team at random, but if you want to, like, stay with your friends, it's all right. Just have to let your TA know. The team assignments will be done during the first week of the lab, so in 2 weeks. But again, if you want to be in a group with your friends, you have to let your TA know before the first lab, or like when you get there, when they want to do that, if they want to do the team assignments. And the only thing you do as a part of the team is just write the lab reports. The rest, everything else is done individually. Lab report format, there will be a lab report template posted on Blackboard. What you want to do is just take this document and write the lab report following whatever is said in the document. This is a Word document, so you can just copy and paste your own material. I don't want too much writing, just enough writing so you can explain what you're doing. It has to have an abstract introduction methods, and you can also add all of your graphs and appendices and tables, all of your graphs and tables in the appendices. Doesn't need to be included as a part of the text. You have to make sure you follow the formatting that is mentioned in this template. Okay, I guess this is the formatting. Let's talk about the quizzes. These pre-lab quizzes will be given on Fridays. There are usually 2 to 4 questions. Very simple questions, but you don't really need to do any calculations for them. We just want to make sure that you have watched the recordings, the lecture recording and the lab recording. So the questions are going to be very simple. Like what do we use a strain gauge for? Measure strength. Very simple questions. So I don't think these quizzes will take you more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a stretch, 2 minutes. But the questions are very easy, right? Let's say you don't really know the answers to anything. You Google things like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, not tops. No, that's true. But I usually give you 60 minutes to respond to quiz questions. So if you are registered with the SDRC, meaning that if you need more time, I think 60 minutes is definitely more than enough. So, but if let's say you take the first quiz and you see you need more than 60 minutes, that's completely all right. You just have to send me an email and I'll make sure to give you more time for the quiz. Again, I'm 100% certain you don't need 60 minutes for these questions. We can see examples of these. Let's see, they have the Blackboard open. Let's see. You're gonna see the quizzes. It's very simple questions. There is nothing to worry about. Again, these the attendance for the lecture recordings, the attendance check for the lecture recordings and the lab recordings, and these quizzes are just there to make sure that you know how to run the lab before going to the lab, right? Does this make sense? Do you have any questions? Okay. I guess we did talk about this. Lectures will be recorded and posted online. I will make sure that all of the lectures are posted at least 1 week before the actual lab, so you have enough time to watch them and learn them, whatever you need to do. And I will try to, teach the theory in a way that is helpful to you doing the lab, meaning that I will do a step-by-step, and then I will explain the lab a little bit and tell you what you need to do for each part of the calculations of the lab. But again, you are welcome and encouraged to send me an email and set up meetings with me if you need to. Your TAs are also very knowledgeable, usually very knowledgeable. If you have an issue with your TA, I guess we'll talk about that later. but you have to let me know. Like, watching the lectures online is mandatory, which essentially means that I will post a recording. As long as you click on the recording, you will be marked present. If you don't want to watch them, it's all right. But if in the lab, if your TA sees that you don't really have any idea about the lab, they will deduct some points and they will let me know. So make sure to watch it. This won't take you more than this won't take more than 2 hours of your time total. And you will learn things, so it's not a bad thing to do. And again, watching the lab recordings online is also mandatory. Attendance in the lab is also mandatory, and that one is the most important part of the attendance check. If you don't go to a lab, you won't get any credit for anything else that is related to that lab, meaning that you won't get credit for the lab report or the quiz or watching the lectures, right? I'm sure that there might be times which you can't attend the lab due to whatever, like sickness. You have to let us know sooner if you can. If you can't, that's also fine. But you have to keep us in the loop, right? Excused absences are fine. Right? Unexcused absences are not fine. You won't get any credit for if you don't attend the lab. And in general, I don't really accept any late submissions. So if you submit something late, you will get a 0. But if there's an issue, if you need an extension for all of things, you have to communicate with us. Whatever you need, we are there to help you. But if there is no communication and no submission, you won't get any credit if you submit late. And also, you must follow the correct formatting. That is very important in the lab report. So talking about the formatting. So essentially what this table tells you is that if you don't follow the formatting guidelines, you won't get any credit for your submission. For example, if you don't convert your lab report to a PDF file and you submit a Word document, you will get 0 for the Word document. Right? And this is pretty simple to follow. Right? And if your calculations are nonsensical, you won't get any credit for your lab report. What does nonsensical calculation mean? It means that, let's say, and this happens a lot. Let's say you want to calculate the modulus of elasticity for aluminum. It should be around 200 gigapascals, right? Let's say you calculate 200 kilopascals. That is definitely wrong, right? Nonsensical. If you just put that number in your report and don't talk about the error, the obvious error that is there, you won't get any credit. But if you just say that this is my calculation, but I know it is wrong, I didn't know how to fix it, that's fine. As long as you understand you are making a mistake, right? So by nonsensical calculation, what I mean is very wrong calculation that you are not aware of. And you have to follow the correct referencing. You have to have references in your report, and these references can't be the lecture notes. Lecture notes are not a reference for a lab. You actually have to find the book, like Mechanics of Materials, whatever that book is. I'm sure all of you have passed all of the necessary courses for these labs, so you know where to find the references. And if you can't really find a good reference, you can talk to your TA or talk to me, right? I can't really find a reference for this thing that I'm using here. What should I do, right? So, questions? This might seem a little strict, and it is a little, maybe unnecessarily strict, but we want to make sure that you learn how to write consistent reports, good reports, right? And that is one of the most important goals of lab course in general. You are not here to learn theory. You are not here to learn methods. You are here to learn how to use sensors, like hands-on experience a little bit, which most of you do that because you don't really have that many lab courses. And you are here to learn how to write a good reports, right? Does it make sense? That's why we are so strict about the lab course. Grading criteria. So Monday lecture attendance, which essentially means just watching the recording. Monday recording, theory recording, is going to be 10% of your grade. The same is true for the lab recording, the actual lab recording. That will account for the 10% of your grade. Attendance in the lab is going to be 10% of your grade again. Pre-lab quizzes, each pre-lab quizzes will be 2%, so a total of 20%, and each lab report will be 5%, so a total of 50%. And if you fill out the course evaluation at the end of the semester and submit a copy of the receipt, not the evaluation itself, of course, the receipt of the evaluation, you usually receive an email, or you can just take a screenshot on Blackboard that says you actually have filled out this evaluation. You will receive an additional 5%. So this is extra 5% in the course, right? Which essentially means that you can drop one of the lab reports if you want to, right? Does this make sense? Right. Question? Okay. Yes, we just talked about the bonus point. 5% for submitting the course evaluation. And you actually, to receive an A in this course, you have to get a degree higher than 90%, which happens to like 95% of you. Last semester, for lab 1, I think we only had 3 people out of 100 people who didn't get an A. So it's very easy to get an A out of this course. Our goal is not to give you a bad grade. Our goal is to make sure that you learn something at least when you leave this course, right? And if you have any issues, if you have a question, you want to make sure that you reach out to me or your TA before the deadlines. I think this is common sense. If you have an issue with your teammate who is not helping with the lab reports or who is not doing their part, you have to let us know before the submission deadline. If you have an issue with the TA, you also have to make sure that you reach out to me as soon as possible. This happens, like TAs are also human, like you, and they might not be the best people in the world. So, and these group of TAs are actually good people. I've been working with them for a couple of years. So I don't think there will be an issue, but if you do have an issue, you have to let me know as soon as possible. We don't really have a mechanism in place to penalize non-cooperative teammates, but let's say there are 4 people on your team and 3 of you reach out to me and say, like, this one person is not cooperating. We'll make sure that one person's grade is affected because of the non-cooperation. And we'll make sure to keep you anonymous, right? To make sure that your teammate doesn't really know that you have reached out to us. But there is no official mechanism in place for the peer evaluation. And yeah, let's see. I guess we did talk about this. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Yes.
So are the weekly lab reports, are those made like individually, or do you work with your team?
With your team. Lab reports are the only thing you do with your team. We used to have a final project, but we don't really do a final project anymore. And I'm told that I look a little scary, so people are sometimes intimidated, like they don't want to talk to me about their issues. I don't really know if that's the case, if that's how you feel, but don't feel that way. I'm very open to hear your feedback and helping you. I'm really here to help you with the course. So don't be scared. Have a good day.